Diesel should not be banned. Did you hear that? Diesel should not be banned. Some people in this generation think that diesel engines should be banned and not used, but in reality, without diesel engines, the world would come to a halt. But why do people believe that? Well, people think that it should be banned because of the emissions and the let-off of carbon into the atmosphere. Now, electric vehicles give off zero emissions, but people who live off-grid will struggle to generate electricity to charge their lithium batteries inside. An alternate way to generate electricity is to use a generator, but most high voltage generators run on fuel, so that defeats the purpose of going electric. The World Health Organization says that around 3 million deaths yearly are linked to outdoor air pollution exposure. Diesel engines can contribute to the problem in two key ways: through the production of particle matter and nitrogen oxides. Very fine soot can penetrate the lungs and can contribute to the cardiovascular illness and death. Not trying to gaslight any of you that this isn't true. However, there are lots of things that we do in this generation that aren't good for the environment, yet they're still the best option right now. An example of an intelligent and thoughtful transition would be plastic bags at the shops. They didn't go and ban all the bags straight up. They found a solution and trialled it, and then they banned the plastic bags once they knew they had possible substitutes. But this is a bigger problem on a bigger scale. Let me explain why fuel is still useful and necessary until they find a more reasonable and better way. The first argument I've got is about the distance that us Australians need to travel. Yeah, it's okay in suburbs and cities like Brisbane, Canberra, Sydney, but there are just over 4 million towns here in Australia where going to the shops is just a half hour or an hour drive. Overseas is more densely populated. Electric vehicles would be beneficial, but here in Australia, it would struggle. The ACT is looking to have 90% of cars electric by the year 2030 and to be totally green by the year 2035. This is reasonable for the ACT because the distance between places and the population is much higher than in rural towns of Australia. How will they do this in the ACT, you think? Simple. The government helps out by making 2 years of registration free when you buy, with no stamp duties and an interest-free loan up to 15 grand. So the government still needs to give financial support even in areas where electric vehicles are more appropriate. EVs can't immediately be the solution in places you would think they have an advantage. How are they going to replace diesel in rural areas where EVs are poor replacements? Another point I have is how diesel-powered engines have so much more torque than electric motors. What is torque? Torque is the measurement of the force used to cause an object to rotate on its axis. Let me explain. It's better. Imaging on opening a door. When we go to push open a door, we don't push the furthest away from the hinges. We push the furthest away from the hinges. We don't push close to the hinges. It would be really hard and require a lot more force to open. Now, when it comes to engines, petrol and electric vehicles produce torque very differently. When fuel is burnt in a petrol or diesel engine, the combustion turns components to produce torque. The car's transmission then transfers these powerful forces into the wheels. Diesel vehicles are similar to the petrol vehicles, just minor changes because they have different higher compression ratios. Because diesel has a higher energy density than petrol, diesel generates way more torque. Electric vehicles don't produce torque through combustion. Instead, they generate force necessary to turn the wheels of the car with help of electric currents. Torque is a major factor that is necessary for all work vehicles, such as diggers and trucks. A fully loaded semi-truck with a loaded trailer can haul up to 40 tonnes, where the Tesla truck can only tow up to 5 tonnes. This is because of torque. Again, electric vehicles don't look like they are anywhere near ready to replace the advantages of diesel power, the advantages that diesel provides. Now, to go into some of the issues with electric vehicles and how they affect the environment. To electric vehicles, you need to power electric vehicles, you need batteries. Ion lithium batteries are used in most of the electric vehicles today. Lithium batteries are energy dense and contain highly flammable material. There have been many car fires and house fires due to lithium batteries, whether they're defective or have had a manufacturing fault. The soil and water where these minerals are extracted have been contaminated due to the sulfuric acid and the sodium hydroxide, which are used when mining lithium, putting species at risk and poisoning ecosystems. According to research published on the Proceedings of the Royal Society Journal, lithium mining is endangering 2 of the flamingos in Chile. The lithium mining in Africa is even worse, with mining putting young kids to work, which is child labour, and working them till they can't work anymore. Do we know what changing from diesel to electric vehicles is better for the environment? Do we know that changing diesel to electric vehicles is better for the environment until these mining related problems are resolved? First it was a horse and carriage, then steam engines, followed by the car. Now we're moving into an era of an eco car. Maybe we should keep it nice and simple and go back to the horse and carriage. Look, electric cars might be the way to go eventually, but this doesn't mean diesel needs to be banned. Diesel engines have their good and bad, but until electric can perform the same way than diesel should not be banned. Thanks for listening, and big up diesel.